All right, we're out here with Ranger, and today for the puppy program, we're going to review a little bit of what we talked about last week, but we're also going to add on some recall tips and tricks. The best way to work on getting your dog to come when called is to actually get them from being right underneath me. I need to actually work on getting him to come to me, but he is already here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get him a little bit distracted. So what I'll probably just do is behind the camera here, I'll give Alex a couple pieces of food. I'm just going to have him feed him 1 or 2 pieces of food. And then I'm going to work on seeing where we're at with our clicker response. I think I also noticed last week that Ranger actually has a pretty good response to his name as well. So you're a little bit ahead of the game in that sense, but I'll go ahead and give him a couple pieces of food. He's just going to feed him like 1 so that he's aware that he has it. Perfect. So he's over there. He's engrossed. That's perfect. I'm going to say, Ranger. Perfect. No response. I'm going to see how this clicker works. Perfect. Yeah. Good job. So even if your puppy does have a pretty good response to their name to begin with, which seemed to be the case with him, your clicker ends up being the salient sound. So with puppies, they are starting to learn that our voices don't always mean something to them. So we kind of become like Charlie Brown's teacher in a sense, and we're just kind of like wop, wop, wop. And they just kind of learn that we are beings that make noise, and sometimes those noises mean something they should pay attention to, and most of the time it's not. So the clicker is a very salient sound that he's not hearing pretty much anywhere else, and it's always paired with food from us. So that quickly becomes something that he's being conditioned to listen to. So what we can start to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring him back to Senior Alex. Didn't know if he needed a piece of food. And we're going to do Ranger, click. Good boy. That's a great clicker response. And we're going to repeat. I'll give you a couple more pieces in case you run out. Oh. There we go. Oh, he figured the game out. He's a smart cookie. He's a smart guy. So basically what we're looking to do here is anything we pair with the clicker will start to take on the power of the clicker. So after a few reps of just saying his name with a click, saying his name with a click, Ranger, click, good, go back, Ranger, good boy. So it starts to take on that power. Another example I could show you that we also incorporate in the puppy program at some point or other. Another thing we can pair it with the clicker to give it its power is yielding to leash pressure. So I'm going to be a little bit of a kind of a butthead, and I'm going to toss this food straight out, and he's going to hit the end of the leash. Once that leash pressure is on, I'm going to pair it with the clicker. Okay, we're going to walk towards that piece of food again. Leash pressure, click. Good. And again. Leash pressure, good. After he's very quick. So after a couple of reps, instead of continuing to pull into that leash pressure, we've paired the clicker enough times. Good, that he starts to actually respond to leash pressure the same way he responds to his clicker. So that's just kind of a little helpful trick. But going back to recall, the next thing I'm going to do in this exercise, okay, get that was a big nugget, huh? Yeah, I mixed in some other Treatos in here. Good job. So the next element that we're going to work with is a collar grab. So he seems to be pretty cool about being grabbed, but we want to make sure that our puppies, oh, my bracelet fell off, are getting conditioned to us reaching out and grabbing for their collar. Sometimes we inadvertently teach our puppies that when we bend down to grab them, we're going to pick them up and take them away from a situation that they'd rather be involved in. So Let's say it's, oh, you're getting into something that we don't want you to get into, or it's time to go in from being outside. The fun is over. I'm going to grab you, or I'm going to have to grab you to put you in your crate. So they start to kind of associate that with like, oh no. So we don't want our dogs to learn the keep away game where you go to reach for them and they go like, whoa, whoa, and they run away. So what I'm going to do is the same setup as we did before. I'm going to give Uncle Alex some of these treats. Whoops,
Ranger.
There you go. He's got the foods. Beep boop. There we go. All right. This time when I call Ranger over, I'm going to present food in my hand, and with the other hand, as he's grabbing the food, I'm going to grab his collar. He's going to eat, eat, eat. I'm going to stay hanging onto him for just a second, and then I'm going to release him. And I don't even necessarily need to have an Alex involved. I can just kind of toss a piece out. Oh, he did good tracking that. Ranger. So he eats out of this hand. This hand comes in to grab him by the collar. I'm going to maintain that collar grab for just a second, and then I'm going to say, okay, and let him go. Ranger eats out of this hand. This hand comes in to grab his collar. Okay. Crumbly bits here. He does a very good job of tracking. I would not, other than I've seen him run into things a few times, which honestly could just be any puppy. I haven't really noticed that he's had any. Is that a friend on the other side of the gate? Any kind of vision issues. Ranger, collar grab. Okay, perfect. The last step of this is I'm going to call him over to me, and I'm going to see if I can just kind of fade out the part where the food is present, grab him by the collar, and then feed. So we're swapping, having that food as like a landing target and just kind of reaching in with the collar first. I'm gonna let him get a little nibble over there. Ranger, I'm grabbing his collar and I'm gonna feed you here. Good boy. Okay, perfect. So I would definitely incorporate collar grabs into your recall. Couple tips for recall. With puppies especially, I want to make this a behavior that is technically in progress for the next several weeks to maybe even months. So until my dog is like at the 9-month, 10-month mark that I'm practicing this on a basically daily basis, I want to assume that my puppy doesn't know it yet. And I want to think about doing these reps as putting money in the bank. What I do not want to do with my recall word is use it like he knows it. So I do not want to use it in a situation where I say his name and I don't have the ability to make it happen if he blows me off. Every time I say his name, I want the response to be, now this happens. You come to me and I give you food. So even if I don't, I also want to make sure that I'm reinforcing it every time as well. Again, we're going to put money into the bank. So 99.99999% of the time that we do this exercise, you hear your name or your recall word, it means a pizza party over here. You're going to run to me and I'm going to give you food. Then when I need to use it and withdraw some money from that bank, let's say, uh-oh, I'm in a situation and I don't necessarily have food on me, but I need you to come to me right now. He's going to be like more than happy to do that. And at some point, after he's known this for a while, we will want to, what we call, variably reinforce him. Ranger, good boy. So I'm going to grab you there. He had a little hard time with me reaching him that time. So this would be a good thing to work on with him. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, variable reinforcement schedule. So we will want to make sure that we feed him every other time, every 2 times, every 3 times, and start to not necessarily pay him every time with food, but we'll talk about that later. For now, think about putting money into the bank. The other thing I wanted to potentially introduce today was getting him up onto place. We dump these toys off. All right. Place eventually can be anything, anywhere. It might not even have to be a physical object. If we're walking around on leash in the neighborhood and suddenly my neighbor wants to stop and chat with me, I might tell my dog to place. And basically what that will start to mean to your dog is that you need to maintain this geographical location until I release you. You're not technically forced to do any other thing. Like, you don't need to sit, you don't need to lay down. You're allowed to stand, to stretch, make yourself comfortable, but maintain this geographical location until I release you. And also what we're going to start to do as he gets better at it is always we're going to be on the lookout for settling behaviors. We actually use place to capture the act of settling. We're going to, the dog is going to perform some kind of getting comfy type of behavior, settling behavior, and we're going to mark it and feed it. And the dog's going to, start to find that reinforcing. Hey, you really like when I get on this place bed, but you really like when I get on this place bed and get like calm and settled. So by doing it that way, you can actually make the dog aware of what settling means, and you can start to ask it of them. So it's just one really helpful way to capture that behavior, because most times pet owners, dog owners, want the ability to tell your dog to, hey, chill the beans, settle. The time now is for being calm, not crazy. So being able to do that is much easier if your dog knows what chill actually means. So that's a little bit down the road, and we will talk about that. But for now, with place, it makes sense with these guys at their age to use something that has a little bit of dimension. So I try to avoid using flat blankets or towels or things of that nature. Dog beds are sometimes a little bit iffy because puppies are like floating heads at this age. They don't really have an awareness of what the rest of their bodies are doing. So sometimes it's hard for them and for us to know if they're aware that they're halfway off the place bed. So we want to make sure that it's something that they step onto and step off of very clearly, so that we can make sure that we're consistently telling them, you're correct, you're incorrect. This is right, that is wrong, making it super clear. So we're going to use this place bed. You can use anything that has a little bit of dimension to it. I do like these place beds because eventually we're going to want to teach place here, there, everywhere, outside, inside, and all that. And these are nice and light. They're washable. They make them slightly smaller, although he's going to get a little bit bigger. So this might be a good size for him. But we have these on the store on our website if you're looking for a link for that. They're called pet cots, and they're super helpful. So step one, we're going to just lure him right onto the bed. And he's super comfy getting on there, so that's no problem there. Sometimes we have to spend some time working on getting the dog comfortable getting on, but we have a really athletic, confident class of puppies in this go round. Perfect, so he's on the bed, and now I kind of want to see if in this next rep, I can guide him onto the bed and kind of keep him there for a second, and then release him with that release word or the clicker. And then we talked about that implied stay when we were together on Sunday. And so this is going to be a behavior that does have an implied stay. So we're going to guide him on. We're going to say, good boy, and we're going to feed. Let's see if he can maintain that for just a second. And now I'm going to release him. I chose to release him with my clicker. I'll do that again. Guide him on. Good boy. See if he maintains it. Good. Okay, perfect. We're going to do that again. And right here, we're starting to see what we call a light bulb moment. Good. Perfect. The light bulb moment is where I don't really have to lure him as much as I approach the bed. He's like, got it. You want me on this thing? I can do that. The dog starts to kind of see what we're doing. And now he's ready for us to pair the word we want to use with the action. So if you're going to use something like place, you could use bed, you could use settle, you could use anything like that. We'll use place. So we'll say place, and he's going to go, and we're going to go, it's this thing. Good boy. Good. Perfect. A little chomp. A little big piece. Yeah, I have some other treats in there. Good job. It's going to take a minute to chew that. Good boy. And I do remember you saying that he sometimes has a sensitive tummy, so I'm gonna make sure I get some more kibbles in here and not just treats. Good job. So I would work on those two things for homework if you'd like, along with making sure that you just go out and about and get him exposed. Remember, we talk a lot about socialization. Excuse me. If you haven't checked out the online learning portal for week one's lessons on socialization and such, I definitely recommend giving that a quick little looky-loo. And if you have any questions on that, definitely make sure you reach out. And then definitely start to get that money in the bank with the recall, adding in those collar grabs, and you can start to introduce place as well. We'll cover all this in group class as well, but he's doing great. Good job, Ranger.